What's up, everybody? I'm Dusty Novels from Diverse Gaming, and welcome to another Diverse Reaction. Yes, I know, another reaction video. Yes, but a different one. Today we're going to look at Outcast 2, its official launch trailer. But before I get into that, let me update you on a few things. After the trailer, we're going to go into a rating system where I'm going to rate the trailer a 1 out of 5. Basically, you know, if you were a first-time person going into this and whether or not it would sell you on the game. 5 obviously being goosebumps, and 1 being, well, they might as well not have tried. After that, we are going to move into the questions where I will ask 3 important questions of this trailer and of this game when it comes out. Now, I don't plan to actually do a review of Outlast 2, but if you want to see me do a review of Outlast 2, all you have to do is ask, and I will happily buy it and do that, just for you. But without further ado, Outcast 2, the launch trailer. Let's get into it.
Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little eyes.
Little girl singing. Okay. Creepy.
There's a father up above, and he's looking down in love. So be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. There's a father up above, and he's looking down in love. So be careful, little hands, what you do. Oh, be careful, little mouth, what you say. Oh, be careful, little mouth, what you say. There's a father up above, and he's looking down in love. So be careful, little mouth, what you say.
Graphics are better than I expected.
Hey, the outsider!
Kind of a weird transition. Cornfield. Huh. Okay. So, the Outcast 2 launch trailer. I have a few things to say about the trailer, but let's move on to the rating system. So, 1 out of 5, how did this one score? Ironically, I'm going to give it a 2. And here's why. This is a launch trailer, not a worldwide reveal trailer, which is what this felt like. Not only that, it really wasn't that cohesive, and it was filled, unfortunately, with a good horror cliche, you know, the young girl singing and not making much sense. Now, that would be okay if that was the whole trailer, but yet they decided to transition into this little montage of gameplay, or running away, which I guess sums up Outlast, to be honest. And it all just felt, well, not professionally done. And I hate to say that, given they've had experience with stuff like this before, and they were made famous, Red Barrels, by Outlast. But I just feel this trailer could have been better pieced together to make it more cohesive, to make it more of a sell. I can say from going into watching this that if I have never heard of Outlast, and I saw Outlast 2, and this was the trailer that someone showed me, I wouldn't have been moved at all. It wasn't really all that scary. The montage didn't really do that justice in the horror department, which they needed to. And like I said, it was just really strange to transition from this girl singing a really deranged song to a lot of running, to being called the outsider, and well, trying to escape. So that's my rating, a 2 out of 5. So not really high there, but let's get into the questions. Now, I am a huge fan of Outlast. The only reason I'm not planning to buy this one is just because I have other games that I need to play at the moment. But the reason why I love Outlast is because it's a great survival horror. For one main reason, which is the first question to this game, and it is the concept grounded? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let me explain it this way. Resident Evil 7 came out early this year, as most of you may know. And it was a very scary game. I streamed it, I played it, I reviewed it, and yeah, it was quite intense. But I actually was more scared of Outlast. Now, some would argue that that's kind of nonsense, given that Resident Evil 7 was a really huge shock and surprise. But the reason why I was terrified of the original Outlast is because it was based in reality. Now, unless you're a fan of zombie apocalypses and you want them to actually happen, I don't, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to happen, I can't really get scared past a certain point because I know it isn't real. But with Outlast, it based itself around an insane asylum. You were someone very simple, an investigative journalist, Miles, and this is something that was very real and that one of us could find ourselves in. Now, not so much now, of course, but certainly back then, finding yourself in an insane asylum, surrounded by essentially monsters that humans had created. That itself is a very grounded concept, and I was deeply terrified of that, and it doesn't help that I just have a phobia of asylums. But from this trailer, I don't think they're going for that. Again, it wasn't really strung together all that well. I saw a few fields, a forest. It seems like this one's going to be a little more open world-ish, and I'm a little worried for them if that's the case. But I just don't find myself too afraid of this location, and I'm worried that given what we saw in the way of creatures or human enemies, that the concept itself may not be all that grounded, and they may have pushed themselves maybe a little too far from their original recipe. But we're going to have to wait for the game to actually come out to answer that question. But that's the first one. Is it grounded? The next is actually the story. How is the story? If you didn't play Outlast 1, it actually had a decent story, with Miles, an investigative journalist, being sent in an asylum when he was given an anonymous email. That email explained that experiments were done in the asylum and that someone was needed to expose the corporation behind that. That led to some very strange twists and turns and a really strong horror factor. And then when you go into the Whistleblower DLC and you play as Parks, someone who was a part of the staff of that very asylum, it only deepened the story. And it was actually a bit of a joy. So for Outlast 2, because we are starring a brand new protagonist, clearly not Miles, if you play Outlast 1 you know what happens to him. So I am curious to see exactly what they're going for here in this new location. Again, something we're going to have to answer when the game does eventually come out. And the last question that we're going to focus on is the gameplay. Now, if you played the original Outlast, you know it was more of a running simulator. You were defenseless. If you were caught, most likely you were going to die. The gameplay pretty much was summed up in running in certain corridors, trying to outrun your pursuer, or hiding in lockers, or under beds, or behind cabinets, and that kind of stuff. And that made for a very certain gameplay mechanic that, again, did add to the horror because, well, you were defenseless. You couldn't fight back against these man-made monsters. What also strangely made it incredibly terrifying from an observational standpoint was the fact that you were looking through a camera a large percentage of the time, mainly through your night vision because the area was quite dark. But it made sense for Miles to have a camera. He was an investigative journalist. It also made sense for Parks in the DLC to have a camera because he was documenting this so he could upload it and expose the corporation just in the off chance that Miles was unable to. But here, we saw the camera, and I'm a little bit concerned. They have to make sure there's a place for it, that it makes sense, and someone just didn't pick up a camcorder and was like, well, I'm going to look through this. That doesn't make any sense. Again, this relates to being grounded. It needs to be based in some sort of reality, something that we can all understand and find ourselves in one day, God forbid. Something that I'm hoping they also make sure they do not add, because it was very fundamental in their gameplay, was the fact that you couldn't defend yourself. Like I mentioned before, you mainly survived by hiding or, outrunning your pursuer. I can't really tell too much in this trailer if you can defend yourself. But if they choose to take that route to where you could use weapons, because these looked much more equipped than the enemies in the first, but if they go down that route, I'm a bit concerned, because again, it will mess with their original formula, what made them popular. They may stray just a little too far. This trailer implies that, but again, we're going to have to wait for the game to come out to actually answer that question. But those are the 3 questions I have for Outlast 2, which I want you to answer in the comments section below. The first question being, is the concept grounded? Second question, how is the story? And third question, how is the gameplay? Again, this is more for speculation, so let's just run wild in the comment section below. Tell me what you think will happen, and let's see which one of us was right. But that's it for this reaction video, guys and gals. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, this was Outlast 2, the official trailer, being released on the 25th of this month, so just Tuesday. And again, if you want to see me play it and review it, just let me know in the comment section below. I will happily do that. If you like this video, make sure to, well, like it and subscribe so you don't miss out on another video like this one. Again, I'm Dusty Novels, and I'll see you next time.